The House Before Falling into the Sea by Anne Suk Wang, illustrated by Hannah Cha. Autographed by the author. This was an author that came to Dylan's elementary school. She's a local author, Korean author, and she signed a book for Dylan. Every day, more and more people fleeing war in the north show up at young Kyung-Tok's family's home in Busan on the southeastern shores of Korea. With nowhere else to go, the Toks is their last chance of refuge before falling into the sea, and the household quickly becomes crowded, hot and noisy, but threaded through the overwhelming and scary moments are joyful ones too, like when Kyung makes a new friend. And after a meaningful talk with her parents and their guests, Kyung realizes something important. The kindness we show one another in the darkest of times is a gift we'll never regret. Oh, that is so true, Dylan. The kindness we show one another in the darkest of times is a gift we will never regret. Dylan's having a little mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Based on the true story of how the author's mother's family sheltered refugees during the Korean War, The House Before Falling into the Sea is a moving example of empathy and community care for the youngest of readers. Okay. So this is kind of like artwork of what it must have looked like. And like I said, this is a autographed book by the author. She is an author that's local here in our community. And she came over to Dylan's elementary school and she wrote a nice message for Dylan. For Dylan, May 23rd of 24. Another fellow writer. Keep going. And be what does she say? The scent of kindness. And then she did some Korean writing here.
Yeah.
Anne Suk Wang. I love that. She did a really nice message for you. So this is The House Before Falling into the Sea by Anne Suk Wang, illustrated by Hannah Cha. Okay, here we go. From far away, the weary travelers looked like oval stones, moving closer, getting bigger. Jag on their backs, all they had left weighed them down. When the traveling statues arrived at our door, our Suseok, our viewing stone art, stared back at them. Suseok. And so did I. I guess we're going to learn a few interesting words too, Dylan, about the culture. Wow. Look at this. Uma. That's mom, I think. Hurried them in. Appa slid the lock shut. In the distance, war sirens cried out over Busan and our home by the sea. Uma. I like that. Yeah. We're going to learn a few words. I hid behind Appa as he gently smoothed down my hair. Kyung, welcome our guests. They will be staying for a while. Annyeong haseo, I bowed. That I learned from Young, remember?
Yeah.
Annyeong haseo. That means, how are you, right? Or hello. It means hello, I think. That's a greeting, Korean greeting. Is that right? Annyeong haseo. Yeah. And she bowed, which is culturally, the way they do it. Soon more people knocked on our door. And the next day, and the day after that. After crossing 205 miles from the northwestern shore, Mr. Kim, a fisherman from Incheon, thanked us for helping him and his daughter, Soon Hee. With enemies at our backs, yours is the house before falling into the sea. See, they're letting them in. Appa, what does he mean? I asked. But before Appa could answer, Soon Hee pulled me into a quiet corner. Soon Hee shared her last goguma with me. Since she was a little older than me, I said respectfully, Ioni, thank you, while eating the sweet potato. Soon Hee, Ioni, whispered, my Appa used to have a fishing boat in Incheon, but some men from the north took it. Her head tipped forward and she sniffed. Oh, she was reliving it, Dylan. She was sad. Like they like the sweet potatoes. Sadness shut my eyes. Then I knew just what would cheer her up. Here, Ioni, it's a stone I found on the beach. It looks like the fish your father used to catch. You should have it. Ioni wiped the tears from her face and hugged the heavy treasure to her heart. Oh, what a nice gift. That is friendship right there. Not abandoning people, Dylan. As more people knocked on our door, the sirens grew louder, getting closer. Each day our home by the sea felt smaller and hotter and noisier. Look. Yeah. I closed my eyes tightly, hoping everything would be better when I opened them again. And she was kind of overwhelmed. But day after day, Kyung, share your sleeping mat with the candy maker's daughter, Yuna Ioni, said Uma. Kyung, show Chef Lee where we keep the rice, said Appa. Shh, Kyung, Pastor Park is praying. Go out and play. Every command made my face crinkle up as I huffed air out of my nose. When sharing was too hard, I kicked pebbles in the courtyard. Once I found Soon Hee Ioni carefully looking over her suseo fish, rubbing it with her thumb, full of worry. I took her hand and led her to the sea. We threw the stones at the waves. Plunk. We sorted through the pebbles. Pink. Plink. We saved interesting ones in our pockets. Plop. We sat like two quiet hills, the breeze combing through our hair. But soon, the sirens found us. They shook the earth. How scary that must have been, Dylan. These two little girls are just so frightened. Uh-oh. Did you eat too fast? Oh. And flung us into action. To the Jiha Sil, Appa shouted. Soon Hee Ioni grabbed my hand and we flew to our hiding place. Look at this. They're so scared, Dylan. My muscles tensed like a rock in the cold, still air as I stepped down and down. So they ran down into this little area. Or Dylan, you have hiccups. Uma, Sunhi, Ioni, and I squished together with the other women and girls between the kimchi dock like fish in a net. The men protected us from above in case any soldiers came by. The waiting went on and on until finally the danger passed. We climbed into the light. But it felt like the darkness followed me. I tried swallowing it down, hiding it into my knot-tied belly. After a while, the tangle in my tummy was too big for me to carry alone. I want everything to go back, I said, crying salty streams into Uma's shoulder. Before the sirens, before strangers started coming into our home. Ah, she must have felt so horrible, Dylan, with the invasion of privacy, huh? Uma held me close, and all was quiet. Then softly she said, Kyung, our visitors are not stones we can toss to the sea. They are people, our neighbors, to help and to love. She's teaching her about humanity, Dylan. I know you're scared, Appa added. We're all scared, but it's easier to face our fears if we stick together and hold each other up. See? They're all together. There's a grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
I breathed in a little bit of courage and wiped the wet from my face. Mr. Kim stood before me, taking my hand. Kyung, do you know why I called your home the house before falling into the sea? I shook my head. Sunhi Ioni rubbed her eyes, clutching the susaok fish. Because without your Uma and Appa opening your doors to us, we would have had no other place to go. Soldiers might have chased us further until we fell into the sea. Being here with you, safe, is a gift Sunhi and I will never forget. Dylan, hold your breath. Take 3 swallows of your water. Get rid of your hiccups. In all the days, months, and years, as some guests returned home and others stayed in Busan, it became a gift I never forgot either. Look, I look like they become best friends, Dylan. Even many descendants later, we all remember. Tak Jung-yi and Tak In-jo. They loved their neighbors in their house before falling into the sea. See, they're growing up now, they're older.
Yeah.
Now they're remembering the past. So, author's note. As I grew up, my mother told me many stories about the year she turned 7. Ine Tak, it's Ine Suk today, lived in her Busan home with her siblings when the Korean War began on June 25, 1950. Her mother and father were gracious hosts to distant relatives and neighbors fleeing from the North Korean and Chinese military. Though she lived through a war, she now considers herself blessed because she was not forced to leave her home, hiking for days like so many were made to do. At the time, she actually enjoyed having visitors and more children to play with. Before hundreds of thousands of South Koreans were chased into the sea, South Korean troops, along with allies, pushed back against the North Korean and Chinese military. The two opposing forces ultimately called a truce and created the demilitarized zone called the DMZ. This divide effectively cuts Korea in half, creating a border where northern and southern tensions exist to this day. Guests during that 3-year period continued to pay their respects to our family even now, long after the passing of my grandmother, Jum Ye Tak, and grandfather Im Jo Tak. The whole Tak family loved their neighbors from around Korea by welcoming them into their home before falling into the sea. Very interesting. Illustrator's note. My grandma's stories from when she was young always came to me in fragments, each one a rare jewel, a puzzle piece. She entrusted me with those memories, including some she never repeated again. Her experiences are what inspired my illustrations for the house before falling into the sea. Now I share parts of her story with you, with her blessing, in the hopes that it might give you strength during hard times, as it did for me. My grandma, Yu Young-uk, was raised in Pyeongchang, a city on the border of what is now North and South Korea. She was orphaned at the age of 10 and survived violent Japanese occupation alongside her 2 older brothers after Japan surrendered during World War II and the U.S. and Soviet Union split Korea into northern and southern regions. My grandma and her brothers fled southward to Seoul. But just as soon as they started to settle there, they sensed the Korean War brewing and journeyed southward again, this time to Busan. My grandma, then a young teenager, lived in Busan for around 7 to 8 months. During this time, schools also migrated down to Busan, and educators ran classes out of tents at no cost for displaced children. My grandma blossomed making friends and learning so much despite the crowdedness and chaos of these schools. Though the terrible casualties of 2 wars were scorched deep inside her, she never forgot how the Korean people, especially Busan, united and still found joy, as they say in Korean, jeong, with each other during this time. Questions to consider. How do you define neighbor? Who are your neighbors? What have you learned from a friend? What have you taught a friend? How can you show kindness to others? And then the glossary. Bowing culture is a polite greeting, a way to communicate hello and goodbye. A lower, longer bow. Bowing. So I'm saying bowing. Bowing culture. A lower, longer bow is a greater sign of respect. Annyeong haseyo, or a formal hello, is said while bowing. So you bow and you say Annyeong haseyo. Busan. In 1950, the city's name was spelled Busan in English. Busan, located in the southeast coast of South Korea, is now more accurately spelled with a B in English because the beginning sound is softer, unlike the hard P sound. Goguma. If you walk down the streets of Korea, you can often smell Korean sweet potatoes cooking, or see them being eaten on Korean movies and TV shows. Goguma are often steamed in large metal drums and sold in well-traveled areas, mostly in the autumn and winter. Gomujul. Gomujul. I don't know how to pronounce it particularly, but I'm trying. The jump rope game that Kyung and Soon-hee play at the end of the story is sometimes called Chinese jump rope. In Korean, the exact translation of Gomujul is elastic string. Often, as a cruel joke, boys would cut the elastic while outstretched on girls' legs, so the string snapped at the players and interrupted the game. An elastic band would often have multiple knots tied in it as evidence of foul play. Jjigae, a large frame pax. Kimchi, fermented cabbage covered in a spicy garlic mixture, is eaten with almost all Korean dishes, especially with rice to balance the strong flavors. Actually, I love kimchi. Could be spicy though. Kimchi jars. Ongi, or large dok, are pots, Korean earthenware, are often filled with kimchi. The kimchi doks were sometimes stored in special underground rooms or jihasil during the winter so kimchi wouldn't freeze. Often, the bigger the house, the bigger the kimchi storage area underground. During the war, jihasil were often used as bomb shelters or bunkers in which people hid. Respectful titles. If a young relative or close friend is even 1 minute older than you, in Korean you refer to them by an honorific title. If you're female, you refer to someone older as Ioni, big sister, or Oppa, big brother. If you're male, you refer to someone older as Nuna, big sister, or Hayong, big brother. Suseok, the Korean version of viewing stones displayed in their rough-hewn original forms. Like people, each one is unique, carved and smoothed by natural forces like wind, water, and other stones, as opposed to being molded or chipped away by human hands. Not only are they beautiful, but quality suseok are also solid and strong. They become more meaningful to the beholder as they are cleaned and displayed or on individually carved bases, often telling a story about the land from which they were found. Names. A person's first name is chosen carefully for their meaning in Korean. There are only a handful of Korean-originated last names. 3 of the most popular in the story. Can you find them? Kyung, a name for either a boy or a girl meaning honor or respect. Kim, noble, brave, gold, an original Korean last name. Soon-hee, goodness or pleasure. Yuna, light of God. Lee, plum, plum tree, an original Korean last name. Park, sincere and simple, an original Korean last name. For my Uma, my late Halmoni, and others who love their neighbors, you are personification of God's kindness and strength. That's going to be the author. To my grandma, one of the strongest women I have ever met, thank you for teaching me how to find joy at every corner and letting me bask in your twinkling compassion. Love you always. That's the illustrator. Okay. This was just published in 2024. Very beautiful artwork. Okay, and here we have the author, An Suk Wang. Born in Korea, is a graduate of UCLA and Boston University in mass communications and a former journalist. She lives in Southern California with her husband, 2 sons, and a canine son. The House Before Falling into the Sea is her first picture book. And then Hannah Cha is a graduate of the Rhode Island School of Design. She is the author and illustrator of Tiny Feet Between the Mountains and has illustrated Circle Round by Anne Sibley O'Brien and The Truth About Dragons by Julie Luang. Hannah spent her childhood in Korea and America and currently lives in Boston. Very good. Dylan, let's just chat a minute about the book because you met the author at your school. Tell me about her.
Okay, so that was a long time ago, like in 2nd grade or something.
No, it was just last year, 3rd grade.
Okay, I remember vaguely.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember she came and she was talking about her book and stuff.
Yeah.
She read it to us.
She read it, yeah. She did a reading. And then she did the signing. And we signed up to have the author's signature.
Yeah, that's really all happened.
Yeah.
She just talked about the book a little bit and read it.
And she lives here. I mean, she lives locally, too. Doesn't she live in South Pasadena?
Yeah.
I know it says she lives somewhere, but I remember you telling me that she had moved to South Pasadena or something. But anyway, how do you define neighbor? A neighbor to me is someone who lives right in our immediate community.
Yeah.
People that live amongst us. You know, they're not necessarily family, but they could be, but they are people who live right around us. Who are your neighbors? We have a lot of nice neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a busy building, and we have one neighbor that's not so great, but other than, oh no, they moved. They shall remain nameless.
I still have one that blasts music.
Oh, we had some nightmare neighbors, but they're gone, thank goodness. Because we love our neighbors. We get along with everybody. What have you learned from a friend? Well, I could tell you one thing. I have learned from friendship that it's everlasting and loyal. And you know who your true friends are, Dylan?
Yeah.
They're the people that don't disappear on you.
Yeah.
If the friend disappears and ghosts you, they're not a friend. And what have you taught a friend? I've taught a friend that I am honest and compassionate, and I go the extra mile. Sometimes I care more about people's problems than they care, which is not a good thing, but I really want to help people. And I want people to, come to their own conclusions on things. And how can you show kindness to others? I think helping when they need help, just giving support, giving them space. And also, sometimes you have to give a little tough love and be honest. And when you're honest, whether they want to hear it or not, that's being a friend. I don't mean being mean. I mean you give them an honest assessment is what I mean. And then I want to say one more thing about the names. Well, in Hungarian culture, we don't bow like they do in the Korean culture, but we have honorable names of respect for people too. Not just respectful titles, but the way you refer to people who are older. Like when we talk to a woman who's older than us, we say Neni, Maria Neni, Muncie Neni, Erzsébet Neni, or whatever. When we talk to a man who's older, we call him Bachi. Bachi is man, referring to older man with respect. So we say Imre Bachi, Mishi Bachi, Yanchi Bachi, Janos Bachi or whatever. You put the Bachi with it, which is a respectful way of, calling someone a sir or a ma'am, but in the Hungarian culture. We also use different terms when we speak to people and we say hello. Like we don't say sziasztok or szia to our friends. We say, we don't say szerbusz. Szerbusz means hi in Hungarian. To our friends, people our age. But when you talk to an adult, you say csokolom. You say hogy tetszik lenni, csokolom. You don't say, szerbusz. That's too casual. So you speak to an adult differently in Hungarian than you do to a person, to your contemporary. Can you say szerbusz?
Szerbusz.
Very good. Can you say csokolom?
Csokolom.
Very good. You say it perfectly. Can you say hogy tetszik lenni?
Hogy tetszik lenni.
Very good. That means how are you? Jó estét kívánok. Jó napot kívánok. Just a good evening. And then to say good night, when we say good night at bedtime, we say jó éjszakát.
Jó éjszakát.
Jó éjszakát.
Jó éjszakát.
Very good. Thank you for joining us for the house before falling into the sea, which we have autographed by the author. Thank you.